You are welcome to yet another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name, Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. The Brooklyn District Trial Judge Ann Donnelly did declare R. Kelly an abuser and kidnapper who trafficked minors when she determined him guilty, even though there was no real proof that these devious women who declared themselves survivors of the R&B King in a Lifetime documentary had been underage when they indulged with him. Until now, the world still doesn't understand how the New York court was able to determine the ages at which R. Kelly and his accusers started indulging with each other, considering they were not there in person to witness. There is a video that the prosecution along with their supporter Gayle King attempt to describe, where R. Kelly is reported to have been harsh to Azriel, and guess what? This still doesn't address the age issue. Just how Judge Ann Donnelly together with her team of jurors were able to determine this, I still can't comprehend. The only way to prove that R. Kelly did get involved with a minor would be to have an original timestamped video that shows him and the alleged survivor in action, and a comparison made of the timestamp with the alleged victim's date of birth as printed on her birth certificate. Plus the video must be authenticated by an independent video forensic team who should declare it original. But the idea that court chose to take the accuser's word against the defendants just doesn't add up. One may ask, why did the court chose to believe the women and not the man? There are just so many charges where the New York court chose to use speculation as a method of arriving at justice. This is not acceptable by law. There has to be conclusive evidence for court to convict someone. When it comes to trafficking, same story. Even if there was proof that R. Kelly did travel with a minor across stateliness, there has to be conclusive evidence that while in the other state, they did get involved, and not just involved in indecent behavior. In other words, the two actions must coincide, and evidence to both must be conclusive. In R. Kelly's New York case, however, the court chose to believe the supposed victim's claims, and attempted to end a man's life and career based on such meaningless rhetoric. While the New York federal judge together with her prosecution counterparts managed to brand R. Kelly the abuser, the kidnapper and the trafficker, some scenes that appear online do not represent their descriptions of a very dangerous man, who they claim abused and forced women to stay with him as true. Take a look at this man. Does he look dangerous at all? Does the woman look like she is held against her will? When the same said survivors featured in the Surviving R. Kelly docuseries, they attempted to make the world believe that they had been repetitively abused by the R&B King, who they allege held them hostage at one of his Atlanta mansions, and later at the Trump Towers. Interestingly though, the two Azriel and Joycelyn remained at the towers even after his arrest, perhaps hoping their good life sponsor would eventually be released, and that they would quickly spring back into the life he had given to them. When R. Kelly was denied bail and there was no more money coming in is when they decided to return to their parents. They were actually evicted from the apartment. They did not leave at their own will. One may also wonder why their parents, who claimed R. Kelly had their daughters, and that he had denied parents access to them, did not use this window when R. Kelly was in jail, to storm the apartment with the police and rescue their own. Meanwhile, Azriel, whose parents claimed had been kidnapped by R. Kelly and that they couldn't reach her, is of late said to be on the run, but this time with her parents' warrant. It looks like they no longer need her home as much anyway, now that it's not R. Kelly she is on the run with. This allegation of kidnap and holding people hostage did bother not only R. Kelly, but also us the onlookers who see picture and video evidence online that tells a completely different story. Indeed, these women were free to move in and out of the R. Kelly mansion, and there is all kinds of evidence to prove this. R. Kelly's former executive assistant Diana Copeland also did hint on the fact that people were free to leave and come in as they wished. However, because the New York judge and jury wanted to see R. Kelly rot in prison, they decided to ignore his executive assistant's testimony and take the accusers in order to justify their judgment irregularities. Listen carefully. Listen carefully.
None of them were underage.
As if judging R. Kelly wrongly was not enough, they also ensured to fraudulently issue R. Kelly a 30-year sentence as though he killed somebody. Just to what extent should the government and its court partners prejudice someone before the system can call it prejudice and attempt to stop it? Perhaps authorities imagine that acts of prejudice are okay and acceptable. Our prayer is that the High Court of the land is able to look beyond the surface of things and disqualifies Ann Donnelly's judgment and sentencing. I am not confident there won't be any further malpractice, considering a lot of these facts are now in the open, and well exposed for the world to understand how prejudice played out in the R. Kelly case. According to Yvette Scott, we need our authorities to operate on truth based on facts and not bad actors' infrastructure, governmental systematic corruption engaging witnesses in rehearsals for immunity deals, and all packaged personal monetary gains. Government manipulation of laws to support misconduct of prosecutors and judiciary prejudice are unacceptable. In addition, mainstream journalists and all public media platforms should be held accountable for purposely spreading unprofessional gender-based reporting for public deception and systematic corruption in order to protect civil rights of all based on facts and not mere hearsay. According to Prince Williams, the truth is that in the United States, you are guilty until proven innocent, especially when there is a bigger organization targeting you that has liaised with government prosecutors to pin you down. I also find the multiple ages of consent from state to state quite confusing, especially when the court decides to follow one and ignore the other. It would be a good idea to streamline the ages of consent and come up with a uniform number. I cannot be told I was right under state law but wrong under federal law. Do we have two countries in one? According to Michael Rolland, it's ugly to be watching multiple videos that show people in love and free, yet the courts want us to believe that R. Kelly kidnapped and held people hostage in a sort of cult at his mansion, a place which was accessed by journalists such as Hampton who claim missed the story they now want to make out of imagination. This is not proper and should call for an entire reform on how the judicial system operates. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.